Today is March 30th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It's a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're going to be reading the personal story from Pioneer number 8. He sold himself short, pages 261 through 263. And out of the 12 and 12, we will continue our journey through step 11, page 99. So with all that, my friends, hope you're doing well this morning. Life is good here. I've got my coffee, in a different mug today. I've got a Spider-Man Venom mug today, so there you go. But anyways, enough of my ramble. Let's get right to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from the Big Book yesterday, our friend here, obviously his alcohol has turned on him pretty quickly in this story, and my heart goes out to his wife. She's trying to get him sober. She's trying to help every way she can, but it's not working. So our friend here, he's sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night, sweet talking the bartender into a couple of free drinks, comes back home drunker than the poor wife first found him. So it takes a little bit more digging, but finally our friend hears from his father that there's a group in Akron that seems to be sober. And at first, our friend's like, yeah, no, I can do this myself. But like I said, he digs a little bit deeper and realizes, yeah, I can't do this myself. It says here on 261, I was completely licked by alcohol. So with that, my friends, we'll pick up right where we left off yesterday. We're going to be reading 261 through 263. I can still remember very distinctly getting into Akron at 11 p.m. and routing the same Howard out of bed to do something about me. He spent 2 hours with me that night telling me his story. He said he finally learned that drinking was a fatal illness made up of an allergy plus an obsession. And once the drinking had passed from habit to obsession, we were completely hopeless and could look forward only to spending the balance of our lives in mental institutions or to death. He laid great stress on the progression of his attitude toward life and people, and most of his attitudes have been very similar to mine. I thought at times that he was telling my story. I had thought that I was completely different from other people, that I was beginning to become a little balmy, even to the point of withdrawing more and more from society and wanting to be alone with my bottle. Here was a man with essentially the same outlook on life, except that he had done something about it. He was happy, getting a kick out of life and people, and beginning to get his medical practice back again. I looked back on that first evening, and I realized that I began to hope then for the first time, and I felt that if he could regain these things, perhaps it would be possible for me too. The next afternoon and evening, 2 other men visited me, and each told me his story and the things that they were doing to try to recover from this tragic illness. They had that certain something that seemed to glow, a peace, a serenity combined with happiness. In the next 2 or 3 days, the balance of this handful of men contacted me, encouraged me, and told me how they were trying to live this program of recovery, and the fun they were having while doing it. Then and only then, after a thorough indoctrination by 8 or 9 individuals, was I allowed to attend my first meeting. This first meeting was held in the living room of a home and was led by Bill D., the first man that Bill W. and Dr. Bob had worked with successfully. The meeting consisted of perhaps 8 or 9 alcoholics and 7 or 8 wives. It was different from the meetings now held. The big AA book had not been written, and there were no literature except for various religious pamphlets. The program was carried on entirely by word of mouth. The meeting lasted an hour and closed with the Lord's Prayer. After it was closed, we all retired to the kitchen and had coffee and donuts and more discussion until the small hours of the morning. I was terribly impressed by this meeting and the quality of happiness that these men displayed, despite their lack of material means. In this small group, during the Depression, there was no one who was not hard up. I stayed in Akron 2 or 3 weeks on my initial trip, trying to absorb as much of the program and philosophy as possible. I spent a great deal of time with Dr. Bob, whenever he had the time to spare, and in the homes of 2 or 3 other people, trying to see how the family lived the program. Every evening we would meet at home of one of the members and have coffee and donuts and spend a special evening. The day before I was due to go back to Chicago, it was Dr. Bob's afternoon off. He had me to the office and we spent 3 or 4 hours formally going through the 6-step program as it was at the time. The 6 steps were: 1. Complete deflation. 2. Dependence and guidance from a higher power. 3. Moral inventory. 4. Confession. 5. Restitution. 6. Continue to work with other alcoholics. Dr. Bob led me through all these steps. At the moral inventory, he brought up several of my bad personality traits or character defects, such as selfishness, conceit, jealousy, carelessness, intolerance, ill temper, sarcasm, and resentments. We went over these at great length, and then he finally asked me if I wanted these defects of character removed. When I said yes, we both knelt at his desk and prayed, each of us asking to have these defects taken away. And this picture is still vivid. If I live to be 100, it will always stand out in my mind. It was very impressive, and I wish that every AA could have the benefit of this type of sponsorship today. Dr. Bob always emphasized the religious angle very strongly, and I think it helped. I know it helped me. Dr. Bob then led me through the restitution step, in which I made a list of all the persons I had harmed, and worked out the ways and the means of slowly making restitution. I made several decisions at the time. One of them was that I would try to get a group started in Chicago. The second was that I would have to return to Akron to attend meetings at least every 2 months until I did get a group started in Chicago. Third, I decided that I must place this program above everything else, even my family, because if I did not maintain my sobriety, I would lose my family anyway. If I did not maintain my sobriety, I would not have a job. If I did not maintain my sobriety, I'd have no friends left. I had few enough at the time. All right, man, some great stuff there. Can't wait to talk about this in just a minute. All right, my friends, so out of the 12 and 12, we are continuing our journey through step 11, which is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So we are on page 99, and yesterday we were talking about what meditation might actually look like. So we're going to see a demonstration of it right here. Top of page 99. Well, we might start like this. First, let's look at a really good prayer. We won't have far to seek. The great men and women of all religions have left us a wonderful supply. Here, let us consider one that is a classic. Its author was a man who, for several hundred years now, has been rated as a saint. We won't be biased or scared off by that fact, because although he was not an alcoholic, he did, like us, go through the emotional wringer. As he came out of the other side of that painful experience, this prayer was his expression of what he could then see, feel, and wish to become. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant me that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. As beginners in meditation, we might now reread this prayer several times very slowly, savoring every word and trying to take in the deep meaning of each phrase and idea. It will help if we can drop all resistance to what our friend says. For meditation, debate has no place. We rest quietly with the thoughts of someone who knows so that we may experience and learn. Alright, so that St. Francis prayer is an absolutely beautiful prayer. I've always loved the line, to love than to be loved. It's easy to love somebody who loves you back. But what about the ones who don't? How can we show them love? I love that prayer. But I think that the whole point of the exercise is to just take it slow, examine what's being said, and apply it. To think on it and apply it. Buddy, if the whole world were to apply this prayer, I think we'd be a whole lot better off. Even if you didn't necessarily believe in, a certain specific religion. It's powerful stuff. And going back to the big book real fast, I love how much hope that our friend is already experiencing here in the fellowship. He talks about Dr. Bob helping him with sponsorship, and it's fascinating that there were only 6 suggestions at that time. Because, the AA book was being written while these meetings were happening. The image of Dr. Bob getting down on his knees and praying with our friend here. I think that's such a beautiful image. 2 members of recovery, working together, praying for each other and with each other. It's a powerful image. I'll never forget when I first did my 3rd step and then eventually my 7th step. A friend of mine who walked with me through the big book, page by page. He got down on his knees and we prayed together. And I swear, I'm not one to have these lightning bolt moments. Most of my experience has been more of an awakening than an experience, but I do remember specifically doing the 3rd step and the 7th step prayer with my sponsor. I remember we hugged afterward, and I thought to myself, 1, how kind is it that this man has taken this time to help me? And 2, how amazing is the God of my understanding. I feel so much different. I don't have many experiences like that where I can say, when I got up from being on my knees after a prayer, that I just felt like so much weight was taken off of me. But I felt it then, and I'll never forget that feeling. It's kind of like what our friend says here. He'll never forget Dr. Bob kneeling beside him and praying with him and for him. For restitution. Beautiful image. Guys, that's all we have for today. It's great to see so much hope and once again a miracle progressing here. And if you are sober today, if you did not take a drink, you are a miracle as well. I'm sure that the ones who love you the most are very proud of you today. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA or any other sect or denomination. I am just a friend in recovery. And again, it's just an honor to be here. I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.